What's good, everybody? Hope you guys are doing good. So we are back today for another video. Today is Labor Day. Happy Labor Day to those who are off today. Enjoy your day off. I know it's gonna be a miracle. Today I make another video, 2 for 2. It has been a while since I was consistent with it, but now we're back on track. I'm gonna try to make a video a day. That way I get back into the routine. Now, as always, before we begin, this is Twitter in the background. As you guys know or don't know, I do use Twitter. I am very active. I use it every day. This is the best way to send a message. This is the best way to see what I'm posting. Finance related, stocks, food, lifting, everything is all here. Follow me on Twitter. You got a message, comment, whatever you gotta do. Alright, now let's begin. Alright, so we got a lot going on in the news, as you guys have already seen. A lot with the bug. We still have riots and protests that are still going on. People are still waiting on another check potentially. We have Congress on vacation. I mean, they call it recess. They on recess. And by what I'm seeing, it looks like the odds for a second round of checks is still kind of iffy. It's saying it's less likely. So I got a few resources here we can look at to see, are we going to get something? What has changed? What hasn't changed? And a few other things going on that we can keep an eye out in the upcoming days, especially with the whole stock situation on Thursday and Friday. I'm sure you guys are aware stocks took a big hit, and we'll go over all that to see what we can do to better position ourselves for what we got to deal with. Alright, this is from CBS, and let's see what we have here. At least there won't be a government shutdown, but as lawmakers struggle back to Washington for pre-election session, hopes are dimming for another bug relief bill. So they passed a bill to avoid a shutdown because God forbid they shut down, then they're out of a job. We don't want that to happen. So they got an agreement on that, but they still don't know what they're going to do with the bug relief bill. The bipartisan unity that drove almost $3 trillion into the bug rescue legislation to law this spring, replaced by toxic partisanship and a return to Washington dysfunction. That's a good way to sum it up. I give credit. There's a lot of dysfunction. The parties have their own demands for what they want in this bill, and no one's really trying to do what's best. If we're going to pass a bill, they're already passing the bill, so now we got to figure out what's the best thing to do within that bill. Democrats seem secure in their political position with President Trump and several Senate GOP incumbents lacking in the polls. Quick reminder, the polls can be misleading. Just because the polls are leading one way, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to happen. If you guys recall, when Trump was running against Hillary, Hillary was winning the polls, and then we saw how that turned out. Trump is seeking to sideline the bug as a campaign issue, and Republicans aren't interested in a deal on Democratic terms, even as needs like schools and aid enjoy widespread support. In a lot of places I've been seeing, schools opened up, but they shut them right back down because either the students or the staff, they got the bug, and they said, hey, we're just going to shut it down for now, see what happens from there. All of this imperils the chances for another round of 1,200 direct payments delivered under Trump's name, the restoration of more generous unemployment benefits to those who lost their jobs because of the bug, updates to a popular business subsidy program, and money to help schools reopen and states and local governments avoid layoffs. Probably going to be avoided because they passed the bill to help keep the government open and funded. I personally would like to see one more rescue package, but I must tell you the environment in Washington right now is exceedingly partisan because of proximity to the election. Yep. Like I've been saying, guys, it's going to be crazy until election time. We're going to have ups and downs. We're not going to really know what's going to happen. Every day we're going to probably hear something crazy. Alright, why another 1,200 could be off the table? Now we can focus just on another relief bill. We're continuing to do that in good faith. According to Vice President Mike Pence. The Senate returns, okay, here we go, guys. Get your calendars out. This is important. The Senate returns on Tuesday to resume its diet of judicial and administration nominations. The House doesn't come back until September 14th. Another week, guys. These guys are on vacation for another week. With their schedule laden with low-profile measures such as clean energy legislation and a bill to decriminalize marijuana, some Democrats are expecting to continue to take advantage of remote voting and may not return to Washington at all. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're at home, why would you want to come back? Just stay at home. You can chill at home, prevent the spread of the bug. It's a win-win for everybody. But it's interesting what they're going to be voting on. Clean energy legislation and a bill to decriminalize marijuana. Now, I don't currently own any marijuana stock. I don't really have a whole lot. I'm not against marijuana. I'm not for marijuana. I'm just kind of neutral. If you like to use it, use it. You're not harming nobody. Okay. But yeah, it doesn't make sense to put people in jail because they want to smoke weed. I mean, do what you got to do as long as you're not hurting nobody. We'll leave it at that. But anyways, marijuana stock I have looked at, but it's just too new for me and not something that I'm gonna put money in. And as far as clean energy, that could affect the energy stocks. We'll have to see if they come up with something, if there is more, what do you call it, more, not legislation, more regulation. There you go, that's the term, guys. My bad, I'm getting old, I'm forgetting my terms. Regulation, if they have more regulation, they could affect stock prices, but Trump has wanted to keep regulation at a minimal level, so we'll have to see what happens with that. Alright, it's from Fox Business. Trump floats using extra $300 billion in bug relief aid for second check. So that's key. They had that $300 billion that they used for extra aid, not for the actual $1,200 payments, but they use it to help fund, I think it was for unemployment and things of that nature. Trump called on Congress to approve a fresh round of $1,200 stimulus checks for American families by reallocating $300 billion in unused bug relief funds. Alright. That's what Trump said. We have $300 billion in an account that we didn't use. I would be willing to release it subject to Congress and use that as a stimulus money. It would go right to the American people, Trump said Friday during a White House briefing. Although Trump said he considered redirecting the funds unilaterally, he was told he needed Congress approval. So there you go. The whole thing about him doing potential executive order, I guess he can't do it. So like I said, I'm not a legal person. I'm not a legal expert. I'm just reporting the facts here so you guys can make your own decisions. But it looks like he's going to need Congress's help, and what better way than to publicly state he supports the bill, so that way if something doesn't get done, at least it will help his face, save his face a little bit. People can say, oh, he tried to do something before the elections. Alright, let's see. The money is going to be an issue, guys, here. Alright, lawmakers at the end of March in the 2.2 trillion CARES Act. Many have been referring to unused business loans. So there you go. The money from the business loan that was unused, they wanted to use that to help fund stimulus checks. Congress appropriated $500 billion to Treasury, with $454 billion intended to cover losses on Federal Reserve lending programs. So far, $259 billion of that funding remains uncommitted. It's money that we have, money that we built up, and money that we haven't spent. And I would love to give it to the American people as a very powerful stimulus. Trump continues. Let's see what else he has to say. I think there's a theory that I could do it without having to go back, but I think it would be appropriate to go back, and I would ask Congress to approve it. It's a very simple approval. It's a one-sentence approval, and the Democrats should do that. The Republicans would do that. They would be glad to do that. The first $1,200 cash payment to U.S. households costs about $300 billion, according to one estimate from the Economic Policy Institute. So if that's true, then that would make sense. $300 billion is left. You can just use it for another round of checks. That could be a good option. I like that. We're having solutions, guys. Okay, we all know problems. Let's get some solutions. This could be a viable solution. New government data released on Friday showed the economy added 1.4 million jobs in August, and unemployment rate dropped to 8.4%. So this poll came out on Friday, the data. However, the stock still dropped pretty crazy. So we have to wait till tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday. Let's see how this number affects the market, because you would think if the economy adds jobs, unemployment dropped, that should help factor us in the right direction. But there might be something else at play to why the economy is in a downturn, and it was mostly a lot of tech stocks, which one could also argue that tech stocks were in a bubble, which I've seen a lot to support that idea as well. While it marked the fourth consecutive month of job growth in the millions, the economy has so far added back less than half of the 22 million jobs it lost during the bug. There are still 11.5 million more out of work than in February. Send second stimulus checks with bug relief funds. This is from Forbes, so we can confirm the $300 billion remaining. He wants to use that to help to fund it. So it looks like there is something to this whole idea that he wants to use the money to help send out those checks. We have the money, that money is built up, we haven't spent it, I'd love to use the American people. So same thing, the quote is a direct quote, so we can confirm that Trump has said that, more likely than not. Let's continue on here. This new stimulus bill could include several areas where there is bipartisan support: enhanced unemployment benefits, school funding, small business loan, bug testing, And I'll leave it at that. Bug testing and other bug related things. However, the new bill would not include any stimulus checks. However, it's possible after Trump's remarks, Republicans could alter the proposal. Yeah, they're going to have checks. People want checks. That would definitely help him for a possible re-election. $300 unemployment benefits update. Here's when payments begin in each state. So it gives you a breakdown if you guys are receiving unemployment. This is also from Forbes. You can check to see how your state is doing. Looks like for the most part it's $300 from what I'm seeing. 300, 300, 300, 400. Kentucky has 400. Kansas 400. So if you're in Kentucky or Kansas, you'll get an extra $100, which I guess could help you. Let's continue on here. All right, let's continue on past that. Second stimulus check, when the IRS might send a new payment and who could get it first. The timeline keeps shifting, but we've mapped out a schedule of the first day a new round of direct payments might be sent out. This is from CNET, and this was published on September 7th. Today, this is fresh off the press, guys. So we can see, here we go. I went over this before, but just to reiterate, this is what we're looking at. These dates are speculative and change frequently in response to the latest from Washington. Correct, these dates can change. This is just kind of a rough idea for what could happen. So the original CARES Act was passed March 25th. The date passed by the House, March 26th. Date signed, March 27th. First check sent, April 15th. So almost a month. Final negotiated bill. If Senate passes, September 11th, which it could, which would be this upcoming Friday, I believe. If the House passes September 16th, if President signs September 17th, the first check could go end of September. So we're looking at end of September, early October, and maybe even early November. Presidential order, if signed September 12th, direct payment could start September 21st. That'd probably be the fastest way to do it, but as he mentioned, he can't do it on his own. So I'm not sure how that would work out unless there's some loophole or something comes up to where he can do this unilaterally. We're gonna have to wait and see. The first group, as we went over before, it's going to be people who have filed in 2018, 2019. The next group would be Social Security beneficiaries who had direct deposit information. Paper checks didn't get mailed out until about a week after. Fourth group, they'd get them in debit cards. And the fifth group, anyone who received checks after June or who is still waiting to receive their payment. I mean, most people I've talked to who could receive the payment have received it. This is from CBS News. Mnuchin urges more stimulus and insists both parties agree to avoid a shutdown. So yeah, like we had mentioned, a shutdown was avoided, but we still have a lot to go in terms of a bill that both sides are going to agree on. We have significant funding for food insecurity. So is it possible they're going to replenish the SNAP program, the food stamps, all that good stuff? It's possible that they will. I'm not saying good or bad, but that's just the facts of where they might allocate the funds. Millions of children in our country are facing food insecurity. We have done it before. We have funding in there to help people pay the rent. Republicans have zero funding for that. They have next to nothing for food security. But the fact is right now, Americans, working families, are concerned about sending these children to school. Now keep in mind, this is from CBS, which is a more left-leaning media outlet, and I'm not sure if people really want to send their kids to school. And with everything going on with the bug, staff having the bug, do you really want to send your kid to school? They might be safe just being at home, learning from home. Let's continue on here. Now we're going to shift away from the whole stimulus talk. So that's kind of where we're at. We're expecting something potentially to come. It may not come, depending on what you're reading. But if it does come, mid to late September. Actually late September, because it's going to have to pass, and then it takes about a month for everything, all the bureaucracy, all that good stuff. So potentially end of September. Now the markets are obviously closed today for Labor Day, but opening tomorrow, it looks like S&P might be up, NASDAQ might be down a little bit, and the Dow might be slightly up. Friday closed, as you can see, we were in the red across the board, but nothing too crazy. Thursday was a day where we had bigger drops. Also, important to note, these numbers can change. So the futures, right now it's about 1-ish in the afternoon. I'm doing this recording. These numbers can change by the time it gets closer to evening. Some news comes out. You never know what could happen, guys. So anything can happen. This is from CNN Business. Just gives you the numbers. Now let's continue on here. What's going on with the bug right now? Because it's kind of been up and down with how much coverage it's been getting. However, the total cases worldwide are still going up, guys. For the most part, we're not really seeing a downturn at the moment. And as we continue on here, daily cases are still pretty high. I mean, we hit our peak in about July. We were in September when we're still having crazy high numbers. And total case outside of China still on the rise. Daily new case outside of China still on the rise. So yeah, cases are still apparently going up. And let's continue on with the fun part of this. Nancy Pelosi, everyone's favorite Speaker of the House. Pelosi's hair salon controversy continues. Owner denies setting her up. I got a good laugh out of this. So Nancy Pelosi, in case you guys don't know, she went to a hair salon when salons were basically closed, and she claims that she was set up, which that makes sense, right? Because it was in San Francisco. San Francisco is very, very progressive. Nancy Pelosi is pretty progressive, so she's claiming that she was set up to go to a hair salon. Yeah, you guys can decide, but I don't think that's entirely honest or accurate. But let's continue on here. But what happened in response is even more funny. Protesters gather at San Francisco home of Nancy Pelosi, hang up hair curlers after salon visit. Some of the protesters were described as angry salon customers. According to a video posted by San Francisco Chronicle reporter Jessica Christian, the group decorated a tree outside the home with an American flag, declaring it the Freedom Tree. Wow. So there you have it. That was kind of a fun story. Get you laughing. And before we end it, this is my whole thing I was saying about schools potentially closing. This was updated 2 hours ago out of New York. Upstate New York school district delays start after 90 staffers take bug leave. And who knows, at this rate, we could have potentially more. We just gotta wait and see what's gonna happen, guys. But like I said, a lot of uncertainty. All I can say, as you guys can see, the news is not really too positive. A lot of craziness going on. But anyways, stay safe out there, guys. That's gonna be the next video. Thank you for watching and hanging in to the very end. I know there's a lot to cover. Like I said, hopefully I'll be able to post daily, more consistently, just depending on what happens with adult things I gotta take care of. We shall see. Don't worry, I'm not in trouble. It's not bad things. It's just things I gotta do. Alright guys, that's gonna be the next video. As always, if you're not subscribed, don't subscribe. If you like the video, don't forget to like. Until next time, peace.